Hey everybody, Flores-Popcak here. So before we begin looking at some of the rough sketches I've developed to represent possible new brand directions for the Institute, it's important to make clear that when I'm designing, it's my goal to create not just a simple logo, but a symbol that the whole team can rally behind and discover their shared identity in. Specifically in regards to the Institute's brand, I think that we have a really special opportunity before us, in that the Institute and the core project have kind of organically grown up as masculine and feminine reflections of one another. The core project is the masculine, reaching out to the people and encouraging them in a grassroots movement. The Institute, on the other hand, is the feminine, drawing the people into herself to nourish them and help them grow before ultimately regenerating them back into the world. I love this about these two brands, so I think it would be a disservice to combine them, at least as far as branding is concerned. My goal, then, is to embrace and even lean into the feminine genius and Marian heart found at the center of the Institute's identity, even as the core project, for its part, continues to stand out in a very beautiful and uniquely masculine way. Our first logo proposal sketch for the Institute, then, is merely an updated version of what you've already got. For all the marks you'll see here, I've chosen to maintain that deep Marian blue that the Institute already uses, but I've tried to consolidate all the elements into a single shape, either explicit or implied. This allows for placement on a far wider array of media, in contrast with the current Institute logo, which is so long horizontally that it defies placement in a lot of instances without being cropped off or divided up in an unsatisfying way. In this updated version of the Institute's current logo, I've moved the figures into this nice little ring, which I can already imagine being used as a seal on certificates, diplomas, books, and other media. Super cool. You'll notice that the couple now breaks loose from the confines of the shape, representing how our love has the potential to break earthly parameters as well. I feel like the way their arms wrap around the shape has almost a planetary look. This reminds me a lot of the cosmic vocabulary used at the Institute, so I leaned into that by creating these two alternate versions, one where the figures are reversed out of a dark, solid background, and another where stars are added to deepen that cosmic imagery. Next up, we abandon the Institute's current mark entirely, while nevertheless retaining the Marian blue and the circular containment shape. In this version, we look to the Tree of Life in Eden, just as the Institute students do, but notice how the negative space forms the faces of man and woman, respectively. There is, of course, a lot we could do with this. For instance, consider this version, where the cross seems to grow out of the top of the tree, or this version, where John Paul II contemplates the tree itself. In any case, I really like how this logo leans into the forested, natural feel of Blackrock, even while incorporating a lot of the themes of life and vitality which the Institute team made note of in their branding sheets. Okay, now let's look at one more with the circular containment shape. This mark is by far the most symbolic and abstract of anything that you'll see here. We start off with the mandorla, that symbol of heaven and earth coming together. To further embrace this theme of heaven and earth, I've adopted the flowers and stars from the garment of Our Lady of Guadalupe, themselves symbolic of earth and heaven, respectively. What's especially cool about illustrating the flowers in this Marian blue is that throughout the Romantic period, blue flowers were used to represent not only desire, but specifically longing for the infinite. In fact, C.S. Lewis even writes in Surprised by Joy that his childhood longing for things transcendent made him, quote, a votary of the blue flower. In this context, then, we literally see earthly longing for heaven fulfilled by the incarnation in the mandorla. Of course, the inclusion of the mandorla gives us some nice negative space to work in, which I think could be used in certain cases to include a small icon of whichever course a given person happens to be attending. See how I've indicated TOBI 1, 2, and 3 here in that space. My favorite version of this mark, though, is this one, where the stars reverse out of the dark background. I think it really balances this particular image. Okay, enough with the circles. In the words of Monty Python, and now for something completely different. For this final design, I maintained the theme of Our Lady of Guadalupe's stars and flowers of desire, but I applied them to Rodin's iconic cathedral image of man and woman coming together in perfect sacred geometry. In my adaptation, the hands actually join at the bottom, literally becoming one flesh, With the addition of the flowers and stars, though, this image also becomes symbolic of earth and heaven, of longing and Christ. Another cool aspect of this image is that it mimics the same silhouette as the core project's heart, but in a different and complementary way. I finish it off with a slightly softer, more handwritten feeling text than in the other versions. Now that you've gotten to see a little of my process, I'd invite you to meditate on some of what I've shown. Although of course the ideal would certainly be for you to see something I've drawn here and say, "Yes, that's it!" My goal here is actually just to give us an inspiring starting point for edits, development, and further prayer. A good logo and a good brand reveals an organization's identity back to its team in new and unprecedented ways, and hopefully we've begun that process here now. Thanks so much, and God bless.